Hi there, my name's Steven, and I'm a first year PA student. And today I want to talk about your group interview at your PA school interview. So, first, I like to start off by saying, congratulations, you got an interview. That's awesome. Not everybody gets an interview, which I'm sure you probably knew already going into this process of applying to PA school. I think it's something like 7% of people who apply get in, and only like 20% of people who apply get an interview. So if you've got an interview, awesome, fantastic, congratulations. Also, by the way, those stats were totally off the top of my head. I have no idea if they're accurate. I will look them up and post the actual stats down below. But you got an interview, and some people, they know a lot of kind of the typical questions that are going to be asked, like why PA school? Why do you want to be a PA? Why not a doctor? Why not a nurse practitioner? How are you a good leader? Like the typical stuff, right? But most people that I talk to haven't really done a lot of group interview type stuff. And if it's something that you're not familiar with, it can be kind of anxiety inducing. So we're going to talk about it. And I'm not going to do like, normally in my videos for this kind of stuff, I'll do like the 3 tips or the 5 tips or something like that. This time I'm just going to speak to you straight from the heart. The group interview is something that I think I did really well in. And luckily, the person who was moderating my group interview was like the head of admissions, and she told me in my personal interview the next day that I did very well. And of course, I asked her why did I do very well, and I'm going to get into that in a second. So anyway, what is the group interview? Now, it's going to be a little bit different depending on what program you're at and having your interview at. But for the most part, the group interview is a short, usually like 10-minute, 5 to 15-minute or so thing where they give you like a prompt, and there's maybe a student watching you and then a member of the admissions committee as well. And the prompt, maybe there's, anywhere from 2 to 6-ish people, probably around 4. We had 4 in our group interview. And so maybe they'll say, all right, here's your prompt, and you have a little bit of time to read it, and then you get 10 minutes to discuss it. And usually the prompt will have like a little blurb like, people are getting older. How are we going to, and healthcare for them is getting more expensive, and there's not as many providers as we need, and not everyone's on insurance. So question 1, how are you going to tackle this problem? Question 2, like what are some other things that could be bad and good about the aging patient population, or something like that. I think that actually might have been my group interview question, or something very similar. And here's what I will say. So this is just straight to the point. The worst, absolutely worst, like don't do it thing that you can do is to talk about yourself and to highlight your highlights. And what do I mean by that? So what I mean is your natural response in a group interview when you're trying to be your best self is going to be crap. Like, I got to talk about myself and show them that I'm a stud, that I belong here, that I'm the best of the best, And in my group interview, most of the people, and there was one other girl with me who got in, and then 2 people who didn't get in. And the 2 people who didn't get in, right away, without like waiting for a second for us to even wait till the question stopped or being read, like wait until the question was finished being read by the moderator. These 2 people kind of both sequentially were like, oh, well, I would do this because at my practice, I was, I was in charge of this, this, and this, and I was the best at this, this, and this. And it, in their mind, they probably thought, oh, like I'm telling them why I'm here. But, they've read your essays and they've seen your GPA and they know your background from your application. So you're there because of that stuff already. They want to see more, how can you work as a team, and how can you delegate, and are you mature and confident enough to kind of sit back and pass the information around a little bit and not just talk about yourself. It's kind of like being on a first date. You don't want to just go in and be like, oh, I'm the coolest and the most attractive ever, because the person's going to be like, ew, like what? You want to go in and ask them about them, ask them questions about themselves, because that shows confidence and emotional maturity. Anyway, a little bit of a tangent, but the best thing you can do, and the thing that I did and the girl that got in with me did, was we kind of said our little piece, like, oh, like, let's say, Bob, that's an interesting point. I agree that the aging population is going to put stress on our emergency departments and our hospitals, and in rural areas, going to be very difficult. What do you think about this? Joe, like, or whoever else is in there, like Mary. Um, well, the point is that little thing of passing, like saying your little piece, but also kind of delegating the next topic to another person. It looks like someone who's been on a team before, and it looks like someone who knows what they're doing and they're comfortable in a team and group setting. And I'll tell you what, that's what they're looking for. Like, that's what I did in my interview. I said, that's an awesome point. My little 2 cents, blah, blah, blah. And then I passed it on to the next person. And the head of admissions in my interview the next day looked at me and said, hey, that was awesome. That's exactly what we were looking for. And we really appreciated you doing that. We all the other student with her had said, like, awesome, perfect job. And the girl with me who also got in, the two of us who got in for my group interview, kind of did the same stuff. You do have to talk a little bit about your experience and you give your opinion, of course. You don't want to just sit there and be quiet. But if you can move the conversation around and kind of be in charge a little bit, you're going to look really good. So that's my biggest piece of advice. It's more of an art. You can practice with your friends, practice during a conversation in a group setting, just saying like, oh man, that's really interesting. What do you think about that, dude? Something like that, right? Just a little bit of practice. It'll go a long way. But be confident. You got this. You got the interview because you deserved it. You deserve to be there. So go kill it. Anyway, I'm Steven, and I'm a first-year PA student. If you have any questions, just go ahead and put them in the comments. I love to answer the comments. And thank you for watching.